Hi everyone, today we are going to start with a new topic, that is crops and agricultural practices. So what are crops? We all know crops are the food producing plants that we consume, like corn, wheat, all right, rice, all of these things. And agricultural practices, now how do we grow them? Okay, what are the various types of crops? There are types of crops as well, okay, not just the names but types of, when are they grown, at what time to time in the year, who grows them, how do we obtain it, what is the process they go through. We will study about all of those in detail. What is a crop? A crop refers to any plant, okay, any plant that is cultivated by humans. What do I mean by cultivated? That is grown by humans and processed as well by humans for agricultural purposes. Crops are grown on a large scale to produce food, fiber, and other desired products. So, this would not be just a garden activity. Crops are plants that are grown on a very big land, alright, in a very big land for agricultural purposes to feed a lot of people, alright. This could be for fiber, right, for food, maybe a cotton is also a crop, all right, something that is beneficial to humans, okay, and it is grown on a big scale, and other desired products. They play a crucial means important, crucial role in sustaining human life and the economy. So for any economy, all right, India is an agricultural based economy. We have a lot of agriculture happening, okay. This helps the Indian economy. We send our food, our crops to other countries as well in exchange for money. It helps sustaining human life. It helps us so that our country can feed itself. All right, having a good agriculture background of the country is very beneficial to the citizens. It helps in growth. It helps in sustaining life. Sustaining means so that in accordance with the future generation, how I will use my resources today so that my future generation can also utilize them. Okay, so agriculture plays a very crucial role in it. We can produce crops again and again from a land, right? Now there are various types of crops. Okay, there are various types of crops. There are three main types of, the main types are three based on the seasons in which they are grown. So how do we classify them into various types? That is due to the seasons in which they are grown. Okay, so the Rabi season, okay, Rabi crops. First one is the Rabi crops. Rabi crops are sown in winter. Sown means their seed is put in winter. The seed will be put in the soil in winter. Okay, that is in India it is October to December. It is the winter months, right? And harvest means after the plant has grown, we harvest the food, right, in spring, March to June. So if you can see, from October to December I put in the seeds, they grow for a few months, and from March to June I will cut the crops. I will derive the food from those crops. These crops require cool weather and grow best in regions with moderate temperatures. So since they are put in the winter months, they grow best in cool weather, cold weather, and grow in regions with moderate temperatures. Alright, so I will put it in a cool temperature. It will grow with a moderate temperature, not high temperature, right? So for example, wheat is sown like this. Examples include wheat, barley, mustard, peas, and gram. mustard is sarson in Hindi, barley and wheat is gehu, alright, peas is matar, gram as well. All of these, remember the examples, cause these can be asked as which out of these is a rabi crop. Okay, so they can give you a lot of crops and they ask which one is a rabi crop. So understand about the rabi crop. It is sown in winter, harvested in spring. Sown in winter, harvested in spring. Spring is March to June. They require cold weather, cool weather, and they grow best in regions with moderate temperature. What is moderate? Around 23 degrees Celsius, but not exceeding that of 30 degrees Celsius. Right? Not too hot, not too cold. A moderate temperature. Now I come to Kharif crops. What are Kharif crops? Okay. Kharif crops are sown at the beginning of monsoon. So for example, in June and July, okay, that is the monsoon in India. Okay, now there is a lot of water, so Kharif crops would be, the seeds would be put in the ground by now. All right, so by the monsoon, okay, by monsoon it will be put in the ground and harvested in autumn. All right, harvested in autumn. What is autumn? September to October. Autumn means when trees shed out their leaves to develop new ones. All right, autumn is generally before winters, right? So I will put them in the soil during June and July when it will rain very heavy, and I will cut the grown crop in autumn. These crops require warm and humid weather. Because they require warmth and humid. Humid means containing water. Alright. So sticky, moist weather and a high rainfall. To grow these plants, they need a lot of irrigation. Irrigation is water. They require a very high rainfall. Examples of Kharif crops include rice, maize, cotton, soya bean and sugarcane. So rice, if you've ever seen fields of rice, okay, rice is also called paddy. They look like they have been flooded. All right, they require a lot of water, a lot of irrigations. For rice, we need a lot of irrigation, a lot of water. Maize, cotton also requires a lot of water. Even soybean and sugarcane. Ganna, the sugar cane, alright, from which we derive sugar, it requires a lot of water. Okay, so we put those seeds in the ground during rainfall months so that they get a lot of water. Now I come to Zaid crops. Zaid crops are grown between the Rabi and the Kharif season. So now between spring and monsoon, alright, now these crops are grown. Okay, if you can see, this ends in June, this begins in June, but between that part, okay, so this generally begins in July. Kharif generally begins in July when monsoon comes. All right, and Rabi crops have been harvested in March only, March or June. So between that period, Zaid crops are grown. Z-A-I-D, Zaid crops. What are Zaid crops? Zaid crops are grown between the Rabi and the Kharif seasons. Okay, so between Rabi and Kharif, Zaid will be grown, usually during summer months, that is March to June. If you know that in North Delhi, North India, there is a lot of heat during the summer months, right? Temperatures are very high, right? It is very dry. There is loo flowing around, okay, the hot wind, and it is very hot. So there is very less rainfall. There is not much rainfall during the summer months. Now that is when these crops are grown, the Zaid crops. These crops are mainly grown in regions with adequate irrigation facilities. Now it requires a hot climate, but it also requires water. Examples of Zaid crops include watermelon, right? Watermelon needs a lot of water. Cucumber, muskmelon, and bitter gourd. If you have eaten any of these, you know they have a very high water content. Alright, if you have eaten watermelon, you take a bite, there is a lot of water inside it. So that is a zaid crop. Okay, that is a zaid crop. Let me show you. These are the images of kharif crops and rabi crops and zaid crops. So talking about zaid crops, you can see over here the watermelon, right? If you've never eaten it, see this, it looks like this. It is a very big fruit. It grows on the ground only. Okay, and bitter gourd, that is karela. Okay, the karela, it is bitter, right? This is musk melon, the melon. This is cucumber. All of these have some water content, some water. That is due to it is a zaid crop. Now we come to kharif crops. What are kharif crops? Kharif crops, I told you, they require a lot of irrigation. This is maize, corn. This is paddy. Paddy is rice. Bajra, jawar, right? These contain a lot of fiber, roughage and fiber that helps us digest food. Paddy is very important because it is grown in parts of Punjab and Haryana and all. Rice is grown, okay, and it feeds the whole country, right? Wheat is grown in North India, barley. These are rabi crops. These are peas, matar. These are grams, right? These are all important crops. Agricultural practices. Now, what are the agricultural practices? Practices means the process. What are the stages in it? What all do I do so that these crops grow, right? What is the large scale production of these crops? Agriculture practices refer to the various activities carried out by farmers to ensure optimal growth and productivity of crops. So these are the various processes done by the farmers to ensure that the plants will grow and they will bear fruit, they will give me food, right? The important agricultural practices include preparation of the soil. So what a farmer does is it will prepare the soil before any seed is put inside it, right? It will prepare a good amount of fertilizer, a good soil, so that a fertile soil preparation involves loosening and turning the soil to create a favorable environment for seed germination. Now, supposedly there is a soil with a lot of rocks, all right, a soil which is very dry, a soil which has a lot of sticky mud, right, a lot of harsh rocks of mud. That is not useful for germination because the seeds will die out, right? So what the farmer will do is he will plow the land, he will prepare the soil, it will loosen up, all right, it will make it soft, it will make it fertile, so that the seed can grow easily, it can germinate and it can develop a root. Okay, it includes plowing. It is also written as plowing, leveling and adding organic matter such as compost or farmyard manure. Okay, so if you know compost is like a fertilizer that is naturally created. So what we do is we take all the biodegradable substances, the leaves, the leftover food, all that is biodegradable. We add worms to it, worms decompose it and they make it fertilizer, compost. If the farmers take this, alright, this is made underground. If the farmers take this and they add it to their soil, it becomes very fertile, the seed can grow very easily, it mixes with the soil and it is a very leveled and fertile ground, fertile. It plows it, it destroys all the rocks, alright, it destroys all the roughness of the soil, it levels it, it is a level field, not higher from one place and lower from one place, it is a level field. Okay, you add the organic matter to it. This process improves soil fertility and aeration, so that there is a good amount of air between the soil particles and the atmosphere. There is good fertility of the soil. Let me show you what is plowing. See over here, what is he doing? He's using this tractor to plow the land. He is making these lines, he's making the soil more and more aerated, soft, right? He's destroying all the rocks. And through these pipes he's also adding a little bit of fertilizer, compost, so that the soil has become fertile, right? Now I come to sowing. What is sowing? Sowing is the process of planting seeds or seedlings in the prepared soil. Okay, so this is sowing, adding the seeds. Adding the seeds. It can be done manually, means by hand, or it can be done using machines such as seed drills. So what a machine would do is, consider this machine itself, right? He will have a few pipes of seeds and these will be dropped into the ground as the vehicle is moving. So this is also a machine, seed drills. The seeds are placed at appropriate depths. It has to be put at some depth so that seed will have a lot of warmth and it will not be flown away by wind or rain. Okay, it should have some depth. It should be put a little bit deep into the soil, and distances to ensure proper spacing for the healthy plant. Now I will ensure this is deep, and I will also ensure it is at a good space from the other seed, so that when they grow they do not compete for resources, they do not compete for space, they do not compete for water, for food, right? I will put them like this. I have some space, put them, this is manual, this is manual. Put them in rows like this, cover them with soil later on, and these will grow. Third is adding manure. Okay, adding manure or fertilizers. Now compost was fine, but now I am adding fertilizers. Manure and fertilizers are added to the soil to provide essential nutrients for the plant. Provide essential nutrients. So just the fertile soil is not enough. I should add more nutrients to the soil so that it grows fast, it grows a good fruit, right? So like your mom giving you milk. Okay, now a farmer giving its plants fertilizer. It promotes growth. Manure is organic matter derived from the animal waste or decomposed plant. It is derived from animal waste. Okay, what is animal excreta, right? And decomposed plants materials. So what is done is, they take a big underground dug area. Okay, this is underground. They add organic matter. They will add animal waste. Okay, animal waste. They will also add plant material. So like plant material could be dry leaves, dry plants, right? Decomposing plants. All of these things will be added. Fertilizers are chemical substances that now this is manure. Okay, this will be mixed and made manure. Now what are fertilizers? Fertilizers are chemical substances that contain specific nutrients required by plants, right? These contain specific nutrients required by plants. Examples of fertilizers include nitrogenous, phosphatic and potassic fertilizers. So nitrogen is very fertile for the soil, for the plant. Okay, nitrogen will ensure very good survival of the plant, very good shoot, very good root, right? So what would happen is, nitrogenous fertilizers that contain nitrogen, phosphatic that contains phosphorus, okay, potassic means containing potassium. Okay, potassium. Now, these fertilizers, examples of fertilizer, will be very beneficial for the soil and in turn for the seed to grow. Now I have irrigation. What is irrigation? Irrigation means adding water. Okay, irrigation is the process of supplying water to the crops. This is how I supply water to the crops. It is essential in areas with insufficient rainfall or irregular water supply. Okay, it is essential, like artificial watering. Now what do I do in my garden? I water the plants, right? So for my crops, they also require good water. How will I use it? How will I do it? I will take a lot of water from pumps, all right, underground water. Good amount of water pumping would be required to irrigate the whole field. Now this is done in areas, it is essential, it is very important in areas with insufficient rainfall, where there is not much rainfall or irregular water supply. Okay, so for areas where it does not have rainfall, where there is not much water, I will need irrigation methods, new irrigation methods to supply water to that patch of land. Various methods of irrigation such as drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation and canal irrigation are employed depending on the availability of water resources. So what is drip irrigation? Supposedly, let me show you. You see these lines in which seeds are given. Alright, drip irrigation would be, we will make pipes going above these rows. The pipes will be going above these rows and it will have a few nozzles. Alright, nozzles. These will provide water by droplets to the seed itself, alright, to the place where the plant is growing. That is drip irrigation. Drip means dripping, water dropping, drip irrigation, right? Sprinkler irrigation and canal irrigation. Sprinkler means, if you've seen in your schools or in the gardens, there is a pipe like this. Okay, it has a sprinkler over it, throws water all over the place in 360-degree direction. That is sprinkler. If I put this in a field, it will throw water in all direction. That is sprinkler. Okay, and canal irrigation, I can develop a canal containing water for irrigation. Okay, now what type of irrigation method I will use will depend on how much water do I have. Does the plant require a lot of water or less water? So drip irrigation will not require a lot of water, but sprinkler and canal will require a lot of water. Okay, so depending on the plant as well. Protection from weeds. Alright, weeds are unwanted plants that compete with the crops for nutrients. So for example, I grow some good plant, a crop that I want, right? Now there are some little plants developing by its side. Alright, these are weeds. I don't want these plants to grow. Okay, but these will take up some of the food that I give to my plant. They will take some of the water. They will try to compete with that plant. So these are weeds. Alright, these are unwanted plants that compete with crops for nutrients, for sunlight and for space, for sunlight and space. Now I want to remove these weeds. These weeds must be removed. These how do these grow? Maybe some weeds dispersed seed, they fall over here and they grow, right, by itself. I did not plant them there. Okay, now farmers employ various weed control measures. Now farmers will do a lot of weed control measures, so that they will say that this weed should either die out, dry out, or should be plucked out, such as manual removal. Okay, they may go into the field and remove those weeds themselves. Mulching and using herbicides. So these are chemicals that will kill the weed, not the plant but the weed, to prevent weed growth and ensure healthy crop development, right? Let me show you a example. So this is adding manure. See this manure. Okay, this is a dry, dark, moist, mud-like structure that we add to the soil to make it fertile. This is irrigation. Sprinkler irrigation. See, these are sprinklers, they are irrigating the whole field, and this is all water, right? Irrigation. This is sprinkler. This is sprinkling. Herbicides. Herbicides. Weedicides. These are chemicals inside this. This person is throwing all over his crop so that there are no weeds growing, right? There are no weeds growing. Next comes the harvesting part. What is the harvesting part? Harvest means to cut off the crop and gather all the food that is produced. So harvesting is the process of gathering mature crops. Mature means after they have grown, they have had ample amount of food present on them, food or any resource that we want. After these have matured, these crops have matured from the field, we gather them, we take them out of the field. Different crops have different harvesting methods. So each crop would have their own harvesting method. So for example, cotton will have its own, wheat will have its own, rice will have its own. For example, wheat and rice are harvested by cutting the crop close to the ground. So for example, if these are wheat plants, they will be cut over here. A little bit would be left and they will be cut, okay, and this part would be obtained, okay. They are harvested by cutting close to the ground, whereas sugarcane is harvested by cutting the stalks at the base. So this was wheat and rice cut close to the ground. What would sugarcane do? Sugarcane is like this, okay. So sugarcane, these big sugar canes growing, a little bit of leaves, right? This sugarcane will be harvested by cutting at the base. This will be cut, okay, and they will gather the sugarcane. Now we come to storage. Okay, what is storage? After these have been cut, after I have derived my resource, I have taken away the food or maybe whatever resource that plant or that crop was giving. Now I store it, because since it is done on a very large scale, there is a very large amount of crop. I don't want it to go bad. I don't want it to be eaten by insects. I don't want it to be ruined by sunlight or the rain. What do? I will store it in a safe space, right? So after harvesting, crops need to be stored properly to prevent spoilage and maintain their quality. Okay, so good quality storage houses are made where the plants will have a good quality, they will be stored properly, right? The crops will not go bad. Storage methods include drying, cleaning, and using appropriate containers or storage structures such as granaries or silos. So the place where they are stored is granaries or silos. Now, storage methods include drying, cleaning, and using appropriate containers. Okay, so what happens is I will use a good proper container that is dry, okay, that is clean, that has no infestation of insects, that has no leakages, okay, big containers. Let me show you. These are some places where we store the crop. See over, this is potatoes. These are stored in such big number in such a big area, and they are protected from the environment, okay. The temperature is regulated, there is no water, there is no harmful insects, nothing, okay. These are stored safely. This is our harvesting. See over here, harvesting wheat. So this is cut close to the ground, right, close to the ground, and we take the harvest. Now we come to food from animals. Now what are the food from animals? Apart from crops, agriculture also involves the rearing of animals, okay. So Agriculture also includes a lot of animal products that we get, not only the crops, not only plants, also what we get from animals for food production. The important aspects include milk animals. What are milk animals? Milk animals are domesticated animals. Domesticated means which have been made as domestic animals. All right, we raise them on farms, we raise them near our homes, in like cattle, like sheep. These are domesticated animals that provide milk. So what animals provide milk? Would be cow, would be goat, would be sheep, would be buffalo, right? Cows, buffaloes, goats. Milk is a nutritious item. Okay, milk is very rich in nutrition. Okay, consumed in various forms like fresh milk, butter, cheese, yogurt. It is consumed in various forms. Okay, so I can drink milk, I can consume it as butter, I can consume it as cheese, I can consume it as yogurt. These are all called dairy products. Okay, dairy products, all made from milk. Now, what the animals that give this milk are spelled like this: MILCH, milk animals, MILCH. Eggs and meat. So, animals also give us a lot of meat. All right, eggs. Poultry farming involves rearing birds like chickens and ducks for their eggs. So, in huge factories, some chickens and ducks would be reared, means raised for their eggs. They will give the eggs, they will go in factories, process them and give it to us. Okay, for eggs and meat. Okay, we eat the animals, we eat some birds, we get eggs. Eggs are rich source of protein, so this is a protein conscious world. Humans need a lot of protein to grow. All right, to grow taller, to grow muscles, to grow into a good body composition. Eggs are rich source of protein. Eggs and meat are rich source of protein. Okay, while meat provides essential nutrients like protein, iron and vitamins, there are a lot of irons and vitamins also present in meat. Okay, let me show you. Eggs, milk, paneer is also a good source of protein. Beef and pork, these are not eaten mostly in India. These are lamb. Okay, lamb is sheep, this is turkey, this is chicken, this is butter, this is fish, yogurt. These are some examples of food that we get from animals, right? Animals. Now we come to a very important part, that is the tribal communities. Okay, so we also have a close relationship with tribal communities. So tribal communities are the ones that live in the forest, that live in their tribes. Okay, and they live in the jungle, they live in their villages, they live in small colonies. All right, tribal communities have a close relationship with forests, relying on them for their livelihood and cultural practices. So what these tribal people do is they rely on the forest, right? They will get the wood from the forest, they will get food from the forest, they will get water from the forest, a lot of things from the forest. So they are dependent on that for their livelihood. Livelihood means work, all right, for work and cultural practices. So the tribal communities also have their own cultures, right? So that also depends on the forest. Now let's explore the two aspects of this topic. First one is lifestyle. Tribal communities have unique lifestyle. Now what is unique? Unlike most people, alright, unlike people living in cities, people living in villages, tribal communities have their own unique lifestyle that is not found somewhere else. So one lifestyle means the way of life, how they live, what they do, alright, that would be unique to a tribe. No other person, no other tribe, no other city, no other village would do that same structure. So that is unique, characterized by their deep connection with nature. So tribes are very much connected to the nature. All right, they do not consume like petrol and all these things. They have a lot of deep connection with nature. They often live in harmony with the forest. In harmony means in a mutual relationship. All right, they will not harm the forest, they will take resources, they will also give back to the forest, right? Depending on it for food, they will depend on the forest for food, hunting, growing crops. All right, these are food, growing fruits, shelter. They require wood for making their huts, making their houses, and medicinal plants. They also take medicinal plants. Supposedly some tribal member has gotten hurt, all right, has got a disease, they will use medicinal plants from the forest to heal that person. Their traditional practices and knowledge contribute to the preservation of human diversity. Now, what they are doing has been around for many generations in those tribes. All right, they have not changed their ways. Okay, now their practices, the things they do, and their knowledge contribute to the preservation of biodiversity. Okay, so they help in preserving the biodiversity, the flora and the fauna, the wildlife, the flowers, everything. They help preserve it. Their knowledge and their practices, they do not harm the forest, but they take resources from the forest, right? Now we come to second part, that is Bonda tribes. What are Bonda tribes? Bonda tribe is one of the indigenous tribes residing in the hilly regions of Odisha, India. In Odisha, we have hilly regions, means hills, right? And in these hilly regions, there are indigenous. Indigenous means our own Indian, alright? So, inside the country, tribes residing in the, okay, so indigenous tribes. Tribes from that, from our own country, from our own place, right? From our own state, Odisha, okay? In the hilly regions of Odisha, indigenous tribes, right? They have not come from any other place. They have been living there only. They are indigenous. They have their distinct language. They have their own language. They speak in their own dialect. They have their own culture. They have their own social structure. All right. So they don't follow this our constitution. All right. They live within their rights, they live within their own place, but they have their own law, they have their own social structure, who is the boss over there, how they resolve matters of crime, what happens. The Bonda tribes depend on shifting cultivation for their sustenance and collect forest products for trade and consumption. What is shifting cultivation? This is a patch of land, they will grow crops over here, right? After using this, they will shift to another patch of land, right? They will shift to another patch of land. After this is used, they will shift to another patch of land. So this is shifting cultivation. Then they will again go back to that land. This is a cycle, okay? For their sustenance and collect forest products for trade and consumption. And they will keep shifting, alright? They will keep shifting for sustenance and collect forest resources. They will collect forest resources, product, and trade and consumption. They will also trade between each other, between each other's houses. They will consume these products. Let me show you an example. These are the Bonda tribes. Bonda tribal people. See how they dress, alright, how they work, how they look, okay. Now we come to wildlife conservation, okay. So crops are grown in forest, from like tribes grow their crops in forest. Now wildlife conservation is also very important. Wildlife conservation focuses on protecting and preserving the natural habitats and biodiversity of various animal species. Various animal species are used in those forests. They ensure the ecosystem, alright, of the forest. It aims to maintain ecological balance and prevent the extinction of endangered species, right? Endangered species. If we conserve the wildlife of the forest so that the forests don't lose on their resources, there is no extinction of endangered species, there are no animals going out of population, okay, coming down to very small numbers, conservation efforts include establishing protected areas. We make protected areas like natural reserves, wildlife sanctuaries, and implementing laws against poaching. Poaching is hunting, and illegal wildlife trade. So animals were being hunted for their skin, for their teeth, for their meat and all. So we made laws against that, so that this practice stops. The organization responsible for wildlife conservation in India is Wildlife Trust of India. So the Wildlife Trust of India focuses on wildlife conservation in India, right? So that will be all for crops and agricultural practices. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you.